president, in his non-State of the Union speech tonight, used the word economy 31 times. We knew it was going to be the key issue going in. The way he was able to sell it, if you will, as a rallying point may have been a bit of a surprise. Here's an excerpt of what the president said.
Our job is to govern with a sense of responsibility. I will not spend a single penny for the purpose of rewarding a single Wall Street executive. But I will do whatever it takes to help the small business that can't pay its workers or the family that has saved and still can't get a mortgage. That's what this is about. It's not about helping banks, it's about helping people.
One of 61 occasions in which the president was interrupted by either or both sides of the aisle. We're joined now by Howard Fineman of Newsweek and MSNBC. Good evening again, Howard.
Hi, Keith.
All right, headline?
Commanding performance, as Robert Gibbs said. He's right. I've seen a lot of these, both in person and watching them on TV monitors and studios. That was as commanding a performance, as confident a performance, as in control as I've ever seen a president, let alone a new president. Joking with the people on the other side, utterly in control of his material, with big hopes and big aspirations. One of the things that impresses me about Obama is even though he didn't use big language in most cases, he goes big. When he's faced with a situation, his tendency is to go big, to make it about even bigger things. You remember that race speech that he gave during the campaign in Philadelphia. He took a smallish crisis in his campaign and turned it into a great speech on the whole history of race in America. Here he's saying, look, we're in the middle of a crisis in the economy, but it is a great opportunity for us to move forward, to do fundamental things. And he was very convincing about that tonight. And I think won great applause that was a measure of respect not only from the Democrats, but most of the Republicans in that room, who I think realized sitting there in that chamber what a political talent they were dealing with.
If he had a perceived vulnerability going into this, and perhaps this is drummed up somewhat by the talking points from the right, but if there was one, it was the idea that if you're in the middle of an economic meltdown, crisis, recession, something that people are suddenly optimistic about when they hear it might be over by this time next year, that you're going to be a little down, you're going to be a little negative, and yet this was a rousing kind of upbeat speech to the point where, as not to pat myself on the back for a good prediction, but Bobby Jindal's response came across to some degree as a buzzkill. How did he pull off an optimistic speech in the middle of the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression?
Well, first of all, that's what the American people want. And I'm told that Obama was spending a lot of time reading about Franklin Roosevelt and reading speeches of Franklin Roosevelt, reading the fireside chats, thinking through how Roosevelt did it in the depths of the Great Depression. And you saw a measure of the jauntiness of a Roosevelt and the scope of a Roosevelt in what he was trying to do here tonight. And Jindal totally missed that, because right at this moment, I think Bobby Jindal said, you know, there's no hope in government. I think Jindal said the strength of America is not found in our government. It is in the compassionate hearts and enterprise of our citizens. Now, yes, compassion and enterprise of our citizens, but this happens to be a moment in our history when the American people want government and want government to succeed. Government to be good, to be properly motivated, to be free of scandal, to be run by smart people who understand the real lives of real people. That's what they're hoping for right now, and that's what Obama is trying to reach. On one level, this was just a budget speech, Keith. He's got a budget to present, and he talked about how they've already found $2 trillion worth of savings. He talked about how he's going to raise taxes on the wealthiest Americans. He talked about the programs he wants to put forward. But this was the best darn budget speech anybody ever gave, because he gave it a sense of lift and drive and competence about it. I mean, the guy just has an ability to exude a sense of confidence in very tough circumstances. And to me, that's the biggest headline, leaving aside all the little details. The theatrics of this matter. They matter to the American people watching on television. They matter to people around the world. Some of the details of the programs may be wrong. Not all the ideas are right, but this is a guy who's determined to move forward. He's not letting this thing get in the way of his plans for health care, for education, for energy. He's going ahead with all of what he wanted to do and tying it into the circumstances of the moment.
Yeah, it was as if after that last news conference, somebody said to him, great on the content, you need to liven up the entertainment factor a little bit, and that is exactly, I think we agree on this, that's what he did tonight.
He did.
Howard Fineman of MSNBC and Newsweek. As always, Howard, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.